Hello and welcome everybody back to the reading room. My name is Mark Reed and we are doing some AIMBOT. Am I morally bankrupt or them? A good question, a fantastic question, and thank you so much for joining me today. I see Ember out there, I see Left-Handed Jedi. Good to see you, good to see you. Before I start to get rolling, I'll just sort of say I kind of felt a bit off yesterday, so this might not be a long episode. I kind of just was a bit faded out. A bit, brainless. I was having trouble focusing. So, yeah, just felt a bit off. So yeah, sinners at dinners. Yeah, I think, it's been going on for a long time. Sinners at dinner. Yep. Yep. As long as the sin isn't the dinner, that can be a problem. Absolutely. When the actual sin is the dinner that you're eating, yeah, that's an issue. Although I never really complain about somebody feeding me. I think that, it's totally fine. Totally fine. But yeah, welcome to AIMBOT. If you're here for the first time, this is am I morally bankrupt or them? Basically, we are taking some instances from am I the a-hole from Reddit, judging them. We're doing some consensual judging because people have asked for it. It's solicited judging to see whether they're in the right, whether they're in the wrong, or whether we feel sort of that nobody is. Oh, thank you, Jedi. I really appreciate it, mate. Yeah, I certainly am. I'm certainly trying. Yeah, I'm certainly trying. Although I had to spend, speaking of morally bankrupt, I had to spend a while trying to get my Outlook system to work. I had to call Microsoft support. They, if you want to talk about morally bankrupt, I think Microsoft support would definitely fall into the upper category of it. Do you know when you've got something that's wrong with something and you kind of know what it is and you need them to do something about it and they really don't? Yeah, I went through a whole ordeal. I think that the amount that it takes out of you is just incredible. And I mean, I try not to blame them. I've been on the other end of it, but at the same time, wow, like just wow. So yeah, this one's for all those people who have support issues and are desperately trying to get somebody to solve it. I at the end of the day, I've just decided to switch to like Google Calendar and stuff for planning because I just can't call them anymore. You did DSL support, yeah. Mm. So if you're very, very young, you might not know what DSL is. I'm expecting at some point that young people won't know that what a digital subscriber line is. Essentially, it's a type of internet. Unlike dial-up, if you remember the old dial-up, it basically used pulses along the phone line. DSL used the same, but it was out of the range of human frequency, and you would filter between the two. So a digital subscriber line was where you had a piece of equipment at the exchange that basically plugged into your telephone line. We called it a D-slam. I'm not sure if it was called the same back in Left-Handed Jedi's day. Way back in the day when I was a youngster, when I was a hovend. Look, the digital subscriber line. Generally, it was called ADSL or asynchronous digital subscriber line because the downstream was a lot faster than the upstream, like incredibly faster. But because it occupied the phone line on a range of frequency not heard by human hearing, you would have to filter it out and there'd be all kinds of issues with it. But it did mean that you'd need a what was called a PSTN line, which was a publicly switched telephone network line. You would need to separate human hearing from the frequencies that ADSL used. If you're wondering, yes, if you work with internet and you work with networking, it is initializations and acronyms the job. Like basically everything, because everything is so complicated, it is just DSL, TCP/IP. That's all it is. It's all it is. It's just throwing out letters and hoping for the best. That's basically what it is. But yeah, back in the dark days of dial-up, ADSL was incredible, just incredible, like such a amazing development. And it looks primitive now, which is just wild to live through that. But yeah, Vibe is where it's at, my guy. Vibe is where it's at. But let's get started on the AIMBOT, because I really don't have a whole lot to talk about. I am trying to get some interviews with people and talk to some people who I find interesting and should be really good to talk to. So look forward to that coming. I'm trying to pin down debates, and I've got another couple of debate channels I am sort of talking to, trying to get a debate or two happening. So I'm really looking forward to that. If I can pull it off, that will be fantastic. So I'm talking to Breakfast Taco, who's amazing, about a debate, and see if I can get that pinned down. I'm talking to Raging Tomato about a debate. I know their moderation isn't the best, but you know it's wild and free. Okay, I'll just have to, be very careful with who I debate on that one. I get that that's what they do, and like I believe Sarah said to me, "You're used to more formal debate." I never in my wildest dreams would I have called modern day debate formal debate, but here we are. Apparently, that's what counts as formal debate for YouTube now. Which is fair. I guess formal is relative, like it's the difference between going to a formal dinner with a tuxedo and somebody, thinking that you wearing a beater and flip-flops is formal. Oh, you got dressed up. Like usually we're just butt naked in this. So I don't know. I don't know. Ooh. Ooh, I don't know if you had it left-handed, Jedi, and this is in, like, sort of maybe not a lot of people know this. Do you are you familiar with what were they called? ULL lines. Worst things to troubleshoot ever. Like you talking about troubleshooting a line. So how do I describe ULL lines? So basically, ULL lines were a telephone line, but they didn't go through the publicly switched network. Instead, it was the phone line just put into the DSL part. And they were a nightmare to do anything with over here. Like they were just, it was awful. It was just like you couldn't even see if it had dial tone to see if there was like a physical problem with it. It was just dead. It was a dead line, but worked for like ADSL essentially. I don't know if you had that. We called it naked internet because that was a lot sexier than phoneless internet, I guess. But yeah, that's basically what it was. It was the line put into the piece of equipment and sort of not into the telephone system, but it made it absolutely ridiculous to try and find out what was wrong with the damn thing, and all of the technicians didn't understand it, and it was just oh wow, that's impressive, Yuda. That's impressive. Wow. Jay, is my audience old? Is that what we're saying? Anyway, let's get to the AIMBOT and some consensual, solicited judging of people with problems. Now, just for people here for the first time, I have not curated these. I have not actually prepared them. All of it is just me seeing them for the first time. So you'll get my reaction. You will get an opportunity to vote on who you think is good or bad. If there isn't an option that suits you in the list, please take it up with YouTube, because 4 options in a poll is kind of crap, in my opinion. So please do take it up with YouTube if your option isn't there, and maybe just vote for everyone's fine or everyone's good. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Maybe pick one at random. I don't know. You can do whatever. It's not to me. I also will go through the people who will say stuff in the comments. I love to know what you think, but more importantly than what you think, I'd like to know why you think it. Like what process has gotten you to saying this person has done right, or this person is wrong, or no one's wrong, or everyone's wrong. I really want to know how you got to that, and what's the process being used that we can apply to other situations and other things that are happening. Me personally, I use secular humanism with a focus on human well-being, both of the individual and society. So I generally will look at which is the best for the humans involved, and is there a reasonable expectation that your actions will get you to sort of human well-being. But that being said, let's get this started, and I'll get this on screen. So first cab off the rank, and it's good to see you, Udef. It's good to see you, Luke. Jim Bob round 2. Look, I tried to call into Jim Bob was doing a debate on breakfast tacos, and I tried to call in. He left before I could talk to him, which was, you know, kind of interesting because he was talking about morality and things like that. I always, it's one of my favorite topics, but I always think that people that use theist morality, they kind of can't say where it comes from or can't show where it comes from. Like they just sort of say that this thing exists, and I don't know. I wouldn't be opposed to doing a round 2 with Jim Bob, but what Breakfast Taco said is call into his show, which if you've ever seen his show, it's a lot of muting and then playing sounds and being, you know, just absolutely obnoxious to the person. I think that going to a neutral platform that won't allow him to be an absolute piece of garbage is probably a good idea. You know, sorry, Luke, I don't think I'd subject myself to him, you know, being a complete jerk for that amount of time. I might. I would have to see how I feel. But I think that, you know, something a bit more substantial than, you know, is it reasonable to, or is it rational to believe in a God? Because that's a very, very weak topic. You know, does God exist? That's a strong topic. That's a meaty topic. Like, you know, is it rational to believe a God exists is kind of whatever. You know, it's kind of, okay, it could be rational, and it doesn't say whether he exists or not. It doesn't get to the heart of the matter. It could be reasonable. Yeah. Yeah, it's debasing to debate him. Yeah. Well, I mean, I thought yours was a joke because he uses the term based a lot, which is just, you know, which is insulting because nothing Jim Bob says is based, quite frankly. It's all very, you know, horrible. But I think the one thing I dislike about Jim Bob, he will constantly say, oh, no, only answer with yes or no. Do this, you know, sort of don't you know, don't give a long answer. Don't what does he call it? Filibuster when you're just giving an answer. And as soon as he does it, it's fine. You know, when he gives a long answer and I let him answer with long answers, it's fine. But it's not fine for you. And I think that hypocrisy is really one of the worst things about him. He's like Kent Hovind. He's famous for it. He'll sort of go, oh, don't do this or don't do that, but he's not talking about himself. And Jim Bob's another person like that. He's got no integrity. If he says, oh, don't, you know, you're going on for ages. Some of his answers were longer than mine, right? Like you know, he really is a hypocrite in all sense of the word. But I get you, Luke. I get you. I'll just start this up. So, am I the a-hole for undermining my sisters-in-law? So your sister, from that title, I gather that your sister-in-law thinks you're undermining them. Well, it depends. Are you being manipulative? Is that for any kind of reason? What is happening? That really says nothing about the post, though. So we better go into it. Okay, so my 46 female, okay, so she's 46, husband 50 male, is the youngest of his siblings, and despite being 50, they still see him as the baby of the family. Yeah, I think I'm going to be seen as the baby of the family no matter how old I am. That's just the case. You know, you're the youngest, that's what happens. It's a problem. Sometimes it's endearing, but other times it's frustrating. When our kids were younger, I worked part-time so I could be home for them. During that time, I cooked most nights. A few years ago, I started working full-time. I work from home, but my job is demanding and I don't have much downtime. Around the same time, my husband's job responsibilities decreased, so we agreed that he would take on more cooking. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I got no problem with that. Look, every guy should learn how to cook, like seriously. Any guy that thinks, oh, it's a woman's job, you're in trouble, quite frankly, because you can't count on your wife or your mother or somebody to cook for you all the time, like, you know, for the entire life. Things happen, and sort of being able to contribute is really a good idea. I think I started out just being able to reheat stuff basically. But I, as I've gotten older, I've learnt to cook, which has, I definitely don't regret at all. Are you also modest pelican? I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. What is modest pelican? I don't. Is this a Smurf account? Because I don't use one, and I know that's exactly what someone with a Smurf account would say, but I don't know what you're talking about. Are you also modest pelican? He's a gamer. Okay. No, that is not my gamer tag. My gamer tag is Vector Slide. That is my gamer tag. So, you've learned something for free. That is my game tag. I was running a gaming channel. I haven't done it lately. I've felt a bit full on. I don't know. I think I started a game that I didn't really like and I really wasn't into. So it kind of dropped off. But I really have to get into it again. What I was doing is sort of doing things during the day and then doing that at night. And I found it too much. So I've got to reorganize. Hence why I'm trying to get Outlook like tasks and calendar to work synchronized, which it just hasn't. So I'm trying to get more organized. My organization sucks. You know what? I feel like it sucks. I feel like I want to be more organized. How about that? I do want to be more organized. Yeah, he's taking on more cooking. Lately, he hasn't wanted to cook as often, and I don't have the energy either. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, you get those days where you and the missus are just like, yeah, I don't have the energy. Do I have any debates coming up? I am trying as hard as possible to nail one down. I'm trying to get one through Breakfast Tacos, who runs a sort of debate channel. Usually it's based on Discord. He will do debates off that. I'm trying to get one on Raging Tomato. I've just got to check out the people so they're not, just absolute nightmares. But yeah, I definitely am trying to pin some down. I'm also talking with Modern Day Debate on engaging with some more people. So it's all I definitely am trying. Spicy hummus. I have this problem occasionally, and I don't know if I'm the victim of my own success. And I'm not saying that to be boastful. I sometimes wonder, because people will come and say, "Oh, I'll debate you," kind of thing, and then when I actually email them, they go, "Nah, I didn't." I just never hear from them again, or they back out. And it's frustrating because you're like, well, I want to debate, but people will go, they'll be debate bros and sort of say, hey, I'll debate you anytime, anywhere, any place, and I'm like, yeah, sure. Fantastic. Yeah. If we can, organize something, and they go just either, no, I just was more interested in discussion, or, I don't really want to debate. What success? Well, I've felt like I've put out some pretty good arguments, Seawind. So theists are they're not taking up debates with me, which is really upsetting because I do enjoy debating people. I don't do it to win. I do it because I like analyzing, breaking down ideas, and engaging with people, putting two ideas up against it and seeing if it holds any merit. So, what if you think that atheism provides no good arguments, then why aren't theists debating anymore? Where have they all gone? So I've got to, if you can get these theists to actually engage with people on an intellectual level. Yeah, I think Australians. Yes, you're right. Tall poppy syndrome exists in Australia. I think it's got benefits and it's got negatives. The beneficial side is that when somebody is doing good work, we cut them down. I get you. I really hear you. I think the good part about it is that people don't get huge egos on them. They're sort of, they're kept in sort of, they're kept at a reasonable standard of humility, which is good. Atheism doesn't permit atheists to hold to any. No, okay, so you're wrong there. So atheism is a lack of belief in a god. Also, sometimes it's defined as a belief in no gods. I keep to the general standard of lacking a belief in a god or not having a belief in a god. You're making a category error because beliefs and morals are not in the same category. Like you don't believe in certain things. It doesn't mean that you have no moral standard. You can have morals outside of that. So it's like atheism. Somebody called it a moral, sort of a moral like wasteland. It doesn't have any moral statements about it at all, and that is true, right? Because when you're talking about atheism, you're talking about just not believing a god exists or not believing in a god. It doesn't have any morality to it. There's no ought in there. There's no morality in there. Atheism doesn't get you to morality in any way. Even if there is no god or there is a god, it doesn't say why you ought to follow what the god says or not follow what the universe suggests you do or listen to your own feelings. It doesn't provide any kind of statements. It would be like saying, hey, your lack of a belief in Christmas doesn't get you to morals. Well, yeah, it doesn't. That's not what it's for. That's not a thing, right? So you need something else as well as atheism in order to have a worldview that gives you the moral oughts that you should or should not have. Like why should we do this or why should we do that? But that's why we basically have things like secular humanism. So I'm not just an atheist. I don't define myself like you might define yourself as a Christian or a Muslim or a Buddhist, and that's all you are. That's your entire identity. That's not how atheists define themselves. We don't define ourselves with the lack of belief in something. I define myself as a secular humanist, primarily, among other things. I'm a gamer as well, but I don't generally, use that for morality either. Like it's like I play volleyball. I'm going to use it for morality. Why? That's not what it's for. The naturalism provides no moral stance. Well, I think that's debatable. I don't think. Again, you've made a category error because naturalism is the belief that only natural things exist. There's nothing supernatural or above the natural world. There is just natural things. So I don't know why that would provide you with a moral standard. So, Seawin, it's important to understand that at one place you're talking the existence of things, which is metaphysics. Basically, it's the foundations of things, and the other you're talking about morality. It's kind of I don't like it's like saying, well, my coffee cup definitely exists. I'm going to use it for morality. What that's a category error. Like no, it is an error. Like saying that something exists doesn't get you to how you ought to behave. Hume went through this specifically. You can't get an ought from an is, right? Like this is what he's talking about. Just because my coffee cup exists and it is there to hold coffee doesn't give me any kind of indication on whether I ought to drink coffee or not drink coffee, right? Like it doesn't get me there. I have to have something else. Like, so you're sort of saying, hey, these things ask whether a God actually exists in reality, if a God is real, it doesn't get you to any kind of moral compulsion at all. Like that God would need, like, if you're sort of saying, I don't know what sort of God you're talking about. I'm gathering it's some more of a Christian worldview. If you want to get to a morality, even if a God exists, you need more than that. You need the Bible, or you need, the what's written on your heart, or some kind of moral system. Just having the God, without all of its entailments, just a God, doesn't get you to morality. Because if the God just exists like a deist God and there's no interaction with humanity, there's no moral pronouncements. So what then? So you need more than just a God being a thing in order to make moral pronouncements. I cannot hold to any moral views. Oh, sure I can. If natural things exist, they cannot provide ought to be's. Why not? Why? Why not? I don't see why. But yeah, you said you would debate me, but I had to do something. Explain how nature selected things before life started if there was no natural selection for a starter. Why do I have to explain that? Do you have to explain how a god created everything? Explain me that. How did a god exactly, like exactly what was the process that God used? Like what outline it. Explain it in detail. Because I'd love to see that. This is the thing, see, when you're sort of demanding that we have to explain the intricacies of how something happened, and that's what you're demanding. Like I believe you're talking about abiogenesis, which we've worked out something of I think it's about 7 of the 11 steps required. So I don't 100%, I don't claim to know that's how life arose. I'm happy to say, hey, I don't know. But you're sort of saying, hey, well, God did it. But when we ask you what's the intricacies of that, you guys say, well, God's mysterious, or, it's beyond human comprehension, or, you don't actually provide how it happened. No steps have been solved. Yeah, but that's just in error. I'm really sorry, mate. That's just in error. I'm really sorry. You can look up this online. It's fairly straightforward. Let's see. What's the stages of abiogenesis? Just trying to find an article which has it in it. Let's see. I mean, there's lots of hypotheses. There's lots of hypotheses. So we've got RNA world, we've got amyloid world, we've got a ton of different stuff. And basically we don't know how it happened. That's the whole point. Like, we're not claiming to know. Yeah, or you can say God did it, and that's also a hypothesis, means nothing. That's true. That's true. Just put in the God for Santa Claus in there, and you'll kind of get my point. So, yeah. Really? You think so? Why is that? Why is it an incredibly tough problem? Like 70 years, like you've just determined that? You've just determined that? I wonder how. So, formation of organic molecules, molecular self-replication, self-assembly, autocatalysts, cell membranes, and metabolic processes. So we've definitely solved some of those, like formation of organic molecules, right? Like, there's definitely some stuff missing, but we don't just say, hey, we've solved some of the problems. It's definitely true. That's not what anybody's saying, Seawin. So, because we're not saying we know how it happened, right? Did really? Really? Yeah, like multicellularity. We've well, I never said that. I never said that. I said we solved some of the steps that would be required. Wow. Okay. Yeah. I think um yeah, so stuff like this, the simple organic molecules, we've composed them of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and phosphorus atoms. So that's the first step. So we haven't solved, we have solved replicating molecules evolved and began to undergo natural selection. But the amyloid world, basically they will replicate and a selection mechanism will be there. The later ones, like the cell we haven't solved that. Metabolic processes and outcompete, we haven't solved that one either. The metabolic processes that come from those cells. We've solved multicellularity. We have an algae that's turned from unicellular to multicellular. I don't know what your problem is. I never said that. I never said that. I said we haven't solved. Are you even listening? Like I said that metabolism hasn't been solved. I wow. Can you show me how God solved any of that? Like, can you show me the actual workings of it? Like, I'll wait because that's not coming and will never come because the people that claim it was God just say, "Hey, we can't." No, no, no. Show me how a God did it. Where's your paper on how God did it? Where's your explanation on how God did it? Really? So you're just going to say intelligence solved something? Really? That's it. Intelligence solved it. That's your explanation on how it was done. Wow. Okay, that's so lame. I wow. Wow. That doesn't explain how it was done, by the way. Just letting you know. Anyway, I think it's about time to ignore now. I'm going back to AIMBOT because you're really starting to distract the entire chat. So yeah, if you want to debate, send me an email. Send me an email. But I'm switching to this thing. If you want to talk about what I'm doing today, that's fine. But Seawind, like, just wrap it up. Like, you've said your piece. You can't explain to me how a god did it. You're demanding I know when I say I don't know how it happened. I don't know. Hey, it could have been a god, but I'll believe that when you show me that, not when you just say, hey, because you're making a claim, and the claim is that it can't happen naturally. So, your claim that it can't happen naturally, you need to back that up, which you can't do. You're basically saying, hey, God did it. Great, show it. Don't just claim it. Okay, just show it. But I'm going to go back to my thing. I think I've spent enough time on you. But if you want to debate, send me an email if you want to step up and actually do something about it. So, yeah. But if you just sort of debate, bro, I just tell me. I don't hold it against you. If you want to, beat your chest, that's fine. I don't have a problem. But yeah, I'm going back to the thing now. Yeah, he cooks once or twice to order out or fend for yourself meals. Yeah, I'm very aware of fend for yourself. Like I said, I was raised with a microwave reheating stuff. Our 16-year-old cook, oh, good on you. And we always have easy, healthy food available. It works fast and everyone is happy. Then my husband's family visited. Yeah, I mean, so many of these things are in-laws. Like, it's just, it's a problem, right? While helping her, I joked that our kitchen was getting more use than usual. She looked confused, so I explained our setup. She didn't say much then, but later, other sisters-in-laws staged an intervention, telling me it was my duty to cook since I work from home. Wow. Wow. It's my duty to cook since I work from home. What? I asked if they had this conversation with their brother, who is just as capable and was taught to cook by them. They said no, they were talking to me. I told them our arrangement works for us. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, I look, spicy. There's been so many abiogenesis hypotheses, and we don't know which one it is. We certainly like to sort of say we haven't solved some of the steps. Doesn't mean that we have a theory of abiogenesis. Doesn't exist. There's competing hypotheses, and so I wouldn't claim to know based upon a hypothesis that hasn't been demonstrated. I really wouldn't. It's not me claiming to know. This is the thing. This is the sort of switcheroo that's done. This is the shifting a burden of proof. They sort of say, hey, you're wrong. We know how it happened, and we refuse to demonstrate it. All right. I they need to do better. I told them to mind their business and take it up with their brother if they had concerns. When they wouldn't drop it, I told them to stop or leave. That shut them up. But then they ran to my husband crying I had undermined them in front of my daughter. What? It's your daughter. She has a busy schedule and she wants to cook. She can, but it's not her job. What do you mean? How do you undermine a mother in front of their daughter? Like, that's so weird. It would be them undermining the mother in front of to the daughter. Like, do you not understand that she's responsible for the daughter, therefore she sort of gets the final word? Do you not understand that? It's her daughter. She's the one raising it. Like, if you're the one raising it, now my husband thinks I should have just let them talk and addressed it with our daughter later. He sees that we don't see them often, so not everything needs to be an argument. I should be nice to his sisters. I told them they were the ones who started the argument. Am I the arsehole? No, absolutely not. Like, I'd understand if yeah, I mean, like, I get it. They think that there's a hierarchy in the house that is the um not to their liking, kind of thing. It's but that's your house. Here's the thing: if someone's going to tell you how things should work in your house, I don't have a problem with saying no. That is absolutely not the case. The problem is that if you allow people to walk all over you. Oh, hello, Andrew. So good to see you. So good to see you. Well, Romans 1. Okay. 19 to 22. Because that which may be known of God is manifest in them, for God hath shown it unto them. For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his internal power, so they are without excuse. Really? So you're basically saying my book says you know. So your holy book says, yeah, people that say they don't know God are foolish. Yeah, I've got a book that says that religious people are deluded. Does that make it true? I'm glad you like your book. I really am. What if your book is wrong? Oh, but that can't be a. Have you? Does anyone know what Poe's law is? Does anyone know what Poe's law? Poe's law is incredible. Poe's law is incredible. So what Poe's law says is basically at a certain point, it is indistinguishable between somebody who is doing a parody of a religious person and an actual fervent believer of a religious person. They're indistinguishable. And so, yeah, it's that's grand. That's great. No, I that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Now my husband thinks, yeah, okay, am I the asshole? So is he or she? Sorry, is she? I don't think so. I think that if you're standing up for your authority in your house, which you do have authority in your house. You are responsible for the household. You are the one that maintains it. If people don't like how your house is maintained, they do not have to be there. Okay, that is the thing. And that is absolutely how I view things. If you don't like, you may not like how my household is set up, my household run, the items in my house. You can not like them all you want. That's entirely your decision. But you don't tell me how things have to be, because you don't have to be here. You can leave. You don't live here. If you lived in my house, then yeah, you would absolutely get input into how things are. But if you don't live in my house, don't be here. Was the poster right for arguing with the sisters? And it always amazes me, this kind of, I think perhaps, and I mean I could be wrong, but the culture of women to really attack each other over very small things and appearances and stuff, I don't think it's particularly healthy. Don't get me wrong, there's toxic masculinity out there, but this seems like toxic femininity, that they're sort of saying, hey, you're not a good enough woman if you don't cook and clean and run a household and do all of these things how we do it. And don't get me wrong, I think that you might have a basis to say, hey, you're not taking care of your kids, or you're neglecting your sort of social obligations. I get that. But at a certain point, I think that it turns into, well, if you're not doing it like I do it, you should be ashamed of yourself. And that's really unhealthy. That's incredibly unhealthy. Different people have different ways that they do stuff, different levels of, maintenance that they do, different, some people like to cook, some people hate to cook. I don't think it should be, well, the woman cooks and the man does this. Look, if the guy likes cooking and the woman hates cooking, I don't see a problem with that. Yeah, it's a troll. It's a troll. Troll detected. Wow, it's been a while since I've had one, actually. It's interesting. Yeah. Oh, Seawind, dude, you've been caught. You've been caught. Yeah, I mean, I one of my favorite things is to cook for my wife. I really enjoy it. But there's don't get me wrong, there's occasions where I don't want to cook and I just go, whatever. I think that if we're talking about the well-being of people, if you are, and I get there's chores that we have to do in order for our household to be well, that we have to be well. There's we have to shop, we have to do all of these things. There's things that we have to do, and they provide a lot of stress. If you can exchange tasks to minimize that stress load, I think that that's going to be better for the well-being, or rationally and reasonably, we can say reasonably, if we do tasks that we both like, not have the exact same amount, or not go for traditional values, we go for the ones that will balance out, and we don't feel as much as the load and that stress, because it is stuff that we don't mind doing. I don't have a problem with that, right? That is the best way towards human well-being as far as the members of your family are concerned. Understanding that, hey, if you both hate a chore, you really got to separate it out. But if one's hated by one person and the other one's fine with another, I don't see the point. I don't see the point. I hate dishes. My wife does most of the dishes, but her cooking, she really doesn't cook very complex stuff. I probably do more cooking than she does. She just more does very, very simple stuff, because she's not I like cooking more than she does. So I don't see a problem with that. I really don't, in separating those tasks as you enjoy them, or you can minimize that stress load. I don't see a problem with that. So I think that this sort of saying, hey, somebody comes into your household with no understanding of the chore dynamic, about the work dynamic, about what's happening there, about how you organize things, and starts to go, oh, you should be the one cooking because my traditional worldview says that's the case. Get out of here. Like, seriously, go do it in your own house. I totally understand, you like cooking. It's on Call of Duty. Okay, well, I'm not sure that's what we're talking about, Davids, but sure. Look, okay, okay. Look, I haven't played first-person shooters in a long while. I feel like I don't have the reflexes for them anymore. I've been heartened by this grandpa who's like a sniper on it that just takes people out all the time. I dread to think what that man has done in his life. He's like, sniper grandpa. But I'm not into that. Lately I've been more into creating things rather than destroying them. I like city builders and things like that, things that I can create stuff, like make stuff, or strategy games where you're creating an empire. I don't know. I've kind of been on the whole creation thing. I really like, at the moment, I'm very much into things like survival crafting is really good. If you want to check it out, I really have to get back into playing on my games channel, but I will link you my games channel. I should have a website for this kind of thing. I probably should have, why is it when I put in my gaming channel name, Yahooligan comes up? That's weird. That's very, very weird. Okay. Keep in mind, I have been on it for a while, but I do like strategy. I do like I said, city builders, but I think survival crafting, I really do like it. Oh, look, Minecraft is awesome. Oh, project, look, I'm right there with you. I'm on board, Spicy Hummus. Look, to be honest with you, the weird thing is, I mean, I really like roguelikes and the indie games. I really love them, want to support them more. Absolutely. Project Zomboid is one of the scariest games I've ever played. Like, it is frightening to go around a corner and have and the graphics are basically isometric, very, very base graphics. They're not that amazing graphics, but that has frightened me more than any other game that I have played, any other zombie game I've played, because the stakes are so high. It just is, it absolutely, like, I have literally jumped playing that. It's incredible. Incredible game. Incredible. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm right there with you, Spicy Hummus. Darkened room, and you've been spending, 2 hours building up this base thing, and you could lose it all. Well, not lose it all, but lose that character in a single incident. It's incredible. What was I doing? You've totally distracted me. Yeah, Subnautica was scary and good. Yeah, but I'm going to go down to the comments. She and my sisters-in-law staged an intervention, telling me a duty. Absolutely not. That's super nervy, and the assumptions are just flying, aren't they? Yeah. Then my 16-year-old daughter walked in, and they turned to her saying she should be cooking for us. They are overstepping. Yeah, good for you for shutting that down on the spot. Yeah, absolutely. So who's being undermined here, right? That's the question. If you are the authority over your daughter, right, and if you're the authority over your daughter, and other members of your family are there, and your daughter walks in and they start telling them what they should and shouldn't do in the home, no, that's something they bring up with you, not your daughter. Like, no. That is undermining your authority. So when they're saying, hey, she was undermining us, I don't know why they're claiming to have authority in the house. Like, it's very, very strange. It's kind of like maybe they are just trying to exert a sort of family dynamic, maybe a matriarchal kind of dynamic on you in your house. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Mm. Yeah, they're overstepping. Absolutely. They insisted we need to do better. Who exactly do you need to do better for? Your system works for all of you. Yeah, your sisters-in-laws clearly have nothing better to do but try to micromanage your home. Or it is some kind of power dynamic that they maybe they're older than the person. I would like to know how old the sisters-in-law are. They feel like they're exerting some kind of power dynamic over you. And, you know, I think a way how we could handle this is sort of saying to them something like, look, your suggestions are appreciated. You know, I'm happy to take them on board, but you need to go through me, not tell my daughter. That's it. You know, say, yeah, look, I appreciate your input. When you know, any input is good. That's the thing. Anybody's input is good. It doesn't mean that you have to act on it or pay any attention to it. Any input's actually good. It is good. That's how I look at it. If people want to make some sort of input, great, fantastic. It doesn't mean that I'm going to pay any attention to it. I can dismiss it just as easily, but the input is good. I think the problem that people have with input and people talking to them and sort of suggesting things and saying, hey, this is a criticism of you, is they think that, you know, they only want to hear the good, only the good input. No, that's not how input works. You're really asking for their opinion. You've got to get their entire opinion. You know, you can't just say, hey, I'm only going to get the good opinions and not the bad. You've got to just open it up. At the same time, a lot of people make the mistake of thinking because you're getting input from somebody, it has to change the way you're doing things or be true. No, you can just discount it and say, yeah, that's their opinion. I don't agree. That's it. I don't see, but you know, that's how I look at sort of getting, you know, I often ask for input on debates or input on how, you know, how my YouTube thing was like, or what happened here. And I genuinely, if somebody says, oh, that was absolutely terrible and I hated it, it's like, okay, cool. No, it's good to know that. But at the same time, if I think it's good, I may not change anything that I'm doing, but it's good to get that input. Like that's the thing. You can't choose what input you're getting. You can't undermine someone who has no authority over you. You can't undermine somebody who has no authority over you. Yeah, I think he's saying you can't undermine them when they have no authority over your daughter. But in a way, they kind of do. So when we're talking about children, we're really talking about most adults should have some kind of like, you know, if a kid's doing something and an adult tells them to stop, if they're a member of the family, I mean, not just a random stranger, but if a member of the family says, hey, stop that, they should have some sort of authority. So I think that there is that, but you know, you've got to understand that if you have a higher authority than them and you are correcting them, then that's not undermining them. That's literally what you're there to do. You're there to say, hey, I am ultimately the authority when my daughter's health and well-being is concerned because I am the one responsible for them. So you don't get to tell her what to do and disagree with me because, you know, which isn't undermining either. I think it isn't undermining, but I think it's for different reasons. They may have some authority over the daughter, you know, like an adult member of the family can say, hey, don't do that. Or, you know, do this or stop throwing around that basketball inside, you know, whatever the thing may be. I think there is some authority there, but the whole point is that, you know, you're basically saying, hey, you undermined our authority over your daughter by using your authority over your daughter. That's not a thing. That can't. I would be having words with my husband. He doesn't seem to understand what transpired. You are not the arsehole. Your sisters-in-law most definitely are. Big assumptive butting in where they don't have any say. A-holes. Yeah, I kind of agree. I think that sort of they don't have any authority is a bit of a mistake. But at the same time, I don't think they have authority to disagree with the mother of the child. I really don't. You undermined them. What authority did they actually have in your home talking to your daughter? You didn't undermine them. You told them to get their big fat noses out of your family. Seems reason to me. They want an apology. Apparently so. I am sorry that your feelings were hurt when I told you to mind your own business and do not tell my daughter what to do. When I told you to have the conversation with your brother, not me, and I told you to stay out of our family operations. How we run our household is none of your business, and I will thank you to remember that. Yeah, I mean, that will just cause more stress and anxiety. Yeah, I don't know. I just the whole point. I mean, it does encapsulate the point that they've got no business shoving their noses into your family. I think that they do have some business. If they are living there, then I mean, they might want to give feedback, and I think that's fair. But I think that when you make a decision, like this is the thing, like people think that, oh, if I disagree with somebody, they've got to change their decisions. No, they don't. Or, you know, if they're not going to change their decision, it's pointless talking to them. No, it isn't. You can give your honest opinion and say, hey, I disagree, and still accept what they've got to say. Look, I hate to bring it back to debate again, but, you know, in a debate, you've agreed to do what the moderator says. You can disagree with a choice that the moderators make and still respect and go along with it. That's the whole point. That when somebody's in a position of authority, or you've agreed to live under their roof, for instance, you can disagree with how they run things and still respect the way that they've chosen to do it. Those two things aren't mutually exclusive. It happens at work all the time. You can disagree with what a boss's policy is, or what happens, or with their decisions that they make, and still do your job because that the boss has the authority to make the final call. You know, you don't have to have this oh, well, I disagree, so, you know, I'm going to stop you from doing that, or I can't allow. No, you can disagree and also do your duty and your job and do what you want. Military does this all the time. You know, like the grunts on the ground will disagree vehemently with what command says, but they still will do it. Right? Well, there's a blast from the past. Knights of the Old Republic. Wow. Yeah, why did I think the sister's intervention would be for their brother to do more? Damn wishful thinking always got the best of me. Oh, okay. So they thought the intervention would be for their brother to do more. Yeah, I sometimes it is. Like sometimes you read these and it is. You made a small joke, one that most people would have gone ha at and moved on. They turned into a big deal and turned the blame on it for you. I would not describe what you did as undermining them. I would, however, describe them pouncing on your daughter without warning as them undermining you. I would agree, yes. After all, she's your daughter and just their niece. It matters much more that she respects you. Correct, yes. It sounds like they spent the whole evening trying to solve a joke that you made. I would have also told them their opinions would be to stop or leave. Yeah, I think that that's fine. Like, you don't have to be here if you don't like it. If you can't stand it, go somewhere else. Also, your husband is an ass on his own right for not standing up for you and instead taking theirs. So I kind of agree with that. Yeah, I kind of do. And I get that if you're the baby of the family and your sisters are older, they may tell you what to do. It might have that matriarchal kind of bent to it. But, you know, I don't see why you would have to agree with them just because, you know, I think, you know, I don't know. I think that sort of saying to them, okay, well, I'll talk to my wife, and then talk to your wife and say, hey, they've complained about this, but don't worry about it. They're just like that. That's still, you're not lying. You're talking to your wife about it. You're not lying at all. But I think that at a certain point, you've got to say, hey, look, if we do it this way, we do it this way. I'm not unhappy with it. She's not unhappy with it. My daughter's not unhappy with it. The only people that are unhappy at you and your visitors. You are guests here. So it's not really up to you. Why doesn't he think his sisters should be nicer to his wife? I don't know. So there's a problem, I think, in social dynamics, sort of a social dynamic problem, that the people that are the loudest generally, you know, when people are being loud and obnoxious, the family might go, oh, we'll be nice to them because they don't want the drama. So the people causing the most drama, generally the family will go, oh, well, just be nice to them, not because they deserve to be nice to, or that they're being nice and you should reciprocate, but because they're the people causing the most drama. And I don't think that is right. Like, I really don't think that is right. I think that that's wrong, but that is what happens. That it's the these real people that cause issues that they're like, oh, don't take it up with them, don't tell them something different, because it'll just turn into a whole thing. Is that right? No. So I think that sort of going along with what you can go along with, and sort of making nice as much as possible, but there's got to be some boundaries there, right? There's got to be, hey, if they do this, absolutely do not accept it. And I think that that's fair. Not the asshole. They were not only butting into your business, they were also doing it out of straight misogyny. You and your daughter are women and you should be cooking to take care of their little 50-year-old brother. Yeah, at 50, you should know how to cook. Like, I can't stress this enough. Guys should learn how to cook. Look, okay, guys out there, like, seriously. Number one, women like a guy, and other guys like a guy. If you are gay, cool. People in general like a person that can cook. It's very attractive. It is very attractive. Someone can cook for you. It is an attractive thing, right? Like, even if you're a woman, you go, hey, the guy, he can cook, right? He can make meals. He is self-dependent. It speaks of all that stuff. Like, you have confidence to do stuff. You have self-reliance. You have independence. Cut that umbilical and learn to cook. And it's like a flex. You can make something that's really nice. Cool. It's really good for you. It's not that hard to cook something that tastes good, even if it's very simple, right? Spaghetti bolognese is so simple. It is simple as crap. Like, seriously, trust me on this. It is so simple. And it's a fine meal. It's absolutely fine. Oh, absolutely. I can't. There's guys that don't cook at all. They've never cooked in their entire lives. They're sort of, their mother has raised them and they've cooked for them, and then they go out and their wife cooks for them. It's very sort of traditional families that the guy just never ever cooks. I do as well, although there's times where I really don't feel like it. On generally I do. Generally I do. I was just saying the other day, I've got to make sushi soon, so that's probably the next thing I will be trying to set up, because all of that, I used to have some nori in the cupboard, but it went off. I hadn't made sushi for ages, so yeah. What have the peeps got to say? What have you people got to say? It's gonna have like all this conversation with the troll. Can I review The Witcher 4 when it drops? I suppose so. I didn't even know that A Witcher 4 was coming out. I did like Witcher. I really did. I wonder if they're going to cast Henry Cavill in the game now. I sound exactly like him. Uh-oh. Is he Western Australian? I've got a very bad Western Australian accent. I got to say. Let's see. Ugh. Wow, there's a lot of this this look at the trees stuff, I got to say. No need to explain how. Isn't that ironic? Explain how all of this stuff came about. Me? Oh, I don't need to explain how. Wow. Just wow. Spicy Hummus says all relationships should be each person giving 100%, not 50%. Well, it's like it's hard to give 100% all the time. You've got to have some kind of sort of idling or some sort of cruising speed that you're on. I don't like, if you mean by giving 100% that you're committed to the relationship, I kind of agree. But if you're talking about doing stuff, yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. No, I agree. That's what I totally irrational and insane. Wow. Okay. So we're applying the same standard that you're demanding from us, and you're refusing to even try to answer. You've got no, and say that you don't have to. Wow. Okay. That's insane now, apparently. Especially the self. Yeah, he's just a troll. I don't think that was in the Necronomicon. I think that was in H.P. Lovecraft's version of the Necronomicon. So getting a bit meta there. So spot on, Ma. I think that if anyone comes to criticisms on how others live, it's just sad. If you want to give constructive criticism and pull them to the side, don't try to air it out. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I do. Constructive criticism is stuff in which you can suggest some sort of solutions or some sort of things to make it up. Like, for instance, when you have somebody like a hoarder, right? Like hoarding behavior, basically going to them and going, oh, you're a hoarder, that's disgusting, you're a horrible person. That's not going to help them, right? But we've got to do things to try and help people and understand that their psychological state may be causing this behavior, and shaming them from it is just going to make that behavior repeat. I totally agree, Spicy Hummus. There's ways to sort of, do this. And you were caught how Ray Comfort and bananas. Wow. Okay. And yeah, we already saw David's. Spicy Hummus says, yeah, it's all about what you and the people you live with have come up with. As long as you both agree and stick by it, then it's all good. Yeah, absolutely. And I don't have a problem with sort of having. I don't have a problem with traditional values holding, like the man does the man stuff and the woman does it. If that works in your household, hey, who am I to say? Like I that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. But sort of expecting that to happen is a bit weird to me. Like just the man going, well, that's how it's done, or the woman going, well, that's traditional and that's how it's done. I don't think that's a really healthy way to go about it. As far as the reason why we're here, if you're a system that works, it is none of their business. Yeah, I agree, Left Hand Jedi. I agree. Spicy Hummer says, way overstepping. My dad has that same women should be cleaning, men should be working, and it's just sad. Yeah, it is. And it doesn't work in today's society. We've sort of changed the dynamics, and whether that's a good or a bad thing depends on who you ask. But I think it's perfectly fine as long as we can adapt our home life to suit the sort of standard that we have now. I don't see rather watch this than the White Palace. Yeah, State of the Union. Wow. The State of the Union, you'd get a more accurate State of the Union if you just listen to somebody on the corner. I don't. There are guys that can't cook. Yeah, yep. Luke says, I love cooking. YouTube is a great resource for recipes. Yeah, absolutely. I do, grab stuff from Amazon recipes because it adds it all to a cooking list. It makes it easy for me and my ADHD to kind of do stuff. Spicy Hummer says, if you are scared of cooking, just give it a try. It's a learned skill, so the more you try, the easier it gets. I would say start off with a steak and salad mash and vegetables, get a temperature probe, and it will be easy. Yeah, absolutely. That's a very easy thing to do. Salad's really easy, absolutely. But, don't be afraid to say, hey, I never learned to cook. And saying to your wife or your sister or your mother or something, look, I wanna learn this stuff. We don't just jump from if you have been raised in a traditional household and you're, going to your 30s and you've never cooked because it's all been done for you, don't expect to suddenly just be fantastic at it. We got to start from somewhere. But at the same time, don't shame people for that. Don't go, oh, you've never cooked, you're just useless. No, absolutely not. You want to encourage people, not sort of just slap them down. Just try some stuff out, follow the recipe, have some assistance from people that do know, like you learn anything. That's the thing. You're not suddenly just going to be, Gordon Ramsay straight out of the gate. That's not what happens. And look up YouTube stuff. I changed the way that I chop vegetables because I watched a YouTube recipe on how to, chop vegetables properly like a chef with the claw kind of thing with your knuckle being the guide. Doing that was difficult because I always wanted to go back to just the way that I'd always done it, but it's actually really good. Now that I'm getting the hang of it. I do not have an air fryer. I don't have an air fryer, but my best friend is something called a Thermomix. It's insane. It's the largest piece of German engineering in my kitchen, and it is amazing. It can basically chop, cook, and mix all at the same time. It's insane. It's an insane piece of technology. But it cooks amazing rice. It cooks amazing soups. It cooks all kinds of stuff. Really good. Really good. Easy to clean too. But some people call it cheating. I call it being efficient with the technology in my kitchen. Sorry, that's about it. Okay, and what did the poll say? I didn't know there was a political thing on today because I don't live in the United States. And yeah, buy one, thank me later. Okay, Davids, I'll think about it. I'll talk to the missus. Let's see if we can get good. It's so good. You use it every day. Okay. No, I hear you. I also want to do more potato skins kind of thing because, I noticed a little while back. I'd gotten into the habit of doing potatoes, scalloping potatoes or boiling them to do mash and things like that. And I was throwing out the skins. So I want to do something with the skins, even though they're going to compost. It's still I feel like I'm wasting food. So I want to do some potato skin chips or something. So that might actually be good, just a small one. Because I don't want to. I've got this big issue about wasting food, and maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. It's certainly, I do want to not waste food because so much food is wasted. It makes me sad. And poll and the poster is good. Yeah, I'm right there with you, Icon. I'm right there with you, mate. I absolutely am. I really enjoy cooking for others and having them enjoy food. Part of it is I was thinking about this the other day. If you will indulge me, I was thinking about this the other day. People without a sense of empathy, psychopaths and sociopaths, right? People who do not have that sense of empathy to go, I cannot feel what you're feeling kind of thing. It's so hard to understand. And I feel really sorry for them. I feel so sorry for them because, I've seen people like David Wood sort of, and I've got to send James an email about that. But anyway, I've seen people like him saying, hey, you can't upset me. You can't make me angry. You can't make me sad for picking on me, because he's got no sense of empathy whatsoever. It's just, he doesn't, even if you're going off it, he doesn't care. He just doesn't care. But at the same time, that experience of giving somebody a meal and seeing how happy they are, and you're happy that they're happy, they will never get to experience that. I mean, I find that so sad. They will never experience what it's like to feel that secondhand joy, to see somebody playing with a puppy and go, oh, that is so cute. They will never feel that. And that's really sad to me. I feel really bad for them because, yeah, they may not feel, that sort of secondhand contempt and that secondhand anger and all of those negative emotions, but I'll never feel the positive ones either. And that is so horrible. I don't know. It's just, it seems really Sad to me. Mm. But I think we can sort of, getting to treat these people so they can feel something for humanity is good. Yeah, yeah. It's hard not to waste food. Yeah. So single cooking, you've got to stick to what you can refrigerate and freeze. I get you. I 100% get you. It's so hard to do. Um, even cooking for two, it's hard to do. I get you. Yes. Um, you know, I you know, I guess if you can afford it, definitely if you can't, but if you can afford it, giving food to other people is great. If they want it. It's sometimes hard to give away food though. Like really. I get what you mean. I just don't like wasting stuff. I always get upset when like I've got some lettuce or something and it's gone off and I haven't managed to use it in time for salads and things and it goes back. I always am like, oh, this is regrettable. I don't like this. I don't like throwing out any food because I haven't used it, which is kind of I mean, it's unrealistic. I'm just realizing now it's kind of unrealistic. I can't 100% predict what I'm going to use in a week. So, and usually we shop about weekly kind of thing. So, I think it's unrealistic of me to expect that, but at the same time, I just don't like it. I would prefer not to do that. Okay. Next one. Oh, that's an ad. Is there any ones above it? No, that's it. Okay. Ad. Stepfather throw. Am I the a-hole? You got Too Good to Go in Australia? I've never heard of it. I'm not aware of everything in Australia. I've never heard of it. Is it like one of those packaged meals? Oh, you just wait. You just wait. I'll become huge. I'll be on here plugging Factor and frigging whatever. Daily Magic Spoon or something, like you just wait. I'll do it. I don't have a problem with those services. I think they're totally fine. I think they're fine for single people because they just have portions all measured out. I think they're incredibly convenient. I think they're probably way more expensive than going shopping yourself, but some people like the convenience, and I get that. Hey, I pay for some conveniences myself. I totally understand. Totally understand. Am I the asshole for not making any efforts to get my kids to like my mother's boyfriend? For not getting your kids to like your mother's boyfriend? Wait, okay, so your grandmother's boyfriend. Well, that's a sentence I didn't think I would say today. Not getting, yeah, I don't know about that one. Your grandmother's boyfriend. Well, I mean, not really, I guess. I You get 10 things for $5. It's not bad. Okay, cool. Yeah, right. I don't think we have that in Australia. Give me 1 second. Uh oh, it's rescue food. Okay. Saving food from going to waste. Sounds like a really good thing. I mean, food waste is terrible. Absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. Uh Apparently it's in Melbourne. I'm not sure where else it is. I am a long way away from Melbourne. I'll give you the tip right now. Find a surplus for you. They're doing surprise bags. I'm not 100% sure I like that. Not 100% sure I like that. Um, in Europe, United States, Canada, Australia. Yeah, just Melbourne, apparently. Look, Melbourne's this weird city. It's like the cultural center of Perth, really. Perth of Australia, I would call it. So Melbourne has all of the, acting. It has the National Institute of Actors and the ballet and paintings and all of the arts basically is Melbourne based, as well as really good a nightlife scene and things like that. It's very culturally forward. Sydney's more like business and stuff like that. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me that this is starting up in Melbourne first off. It seems like the perfect place to do it. This one I'm not sure. Probably yes, a little. I guess. I mean, what you're supposed to be your mother's wingman. I'm not sure that's appropriate, to be honest with you. I'm not 100% sure. Why is this taking so long? Are you okay, Reddit? Are you okay? Is it me? Is it me? I don't. Oh, there we go. Okay, that was weird. Okay. My 36 male father passed away when I was 20. Oh. And my mother didn't cope well. She got better with time, but she didn't attempt to pursue another relationship until 15 years later. She has been dating Jim for 2 years. So, okay. So you're 35, maybe? I don't hate Jim, but I don't like him either. He drinks a lot. My mother has had to cancel on us several times because he was drunk. Oof. Yeah. Okay. How old is your mother now, and how old is Jim? Is it Jim Beam? Jim Beam? Is that who he's doing? He has made several offensive jokes to my brother, 43 male, that I didn't appreciate. Okay. And is overall a pretty unpleasant person to be around. Still, he seems to genuinely love my mother and makes her happy, so my brother and I don't interfere. Yeah, that's fair. One problem I do have with the relationship is that my mother has been trying to get my children, 9 male and 5 female, to form a grandparent bond with Jim. He's also been trying to take on a grandfather role, which neither me nor my wife, 34 female, want for the kids. They don't try to push boundaries too much, but we've had some minor arguments in the past. Okay. Not Jim. Yeah, he's offensive jokes and being drunk. Maybe it is. Look, I don't know what I don't know. He's very obnoxious though. Wow. I don't know what his stance on alcohol is like. I think that I think I brought up that drinking alcohol and he said, oh, some Christians don't drink alcohol and all. Yeah, but some like Catholics. Who was I talking to? Oh, I've got to post that. I went on the Theist Helpline with Amy Newman and Breakfast Taco and a few others and sort of talked to people. And it went really well. I think I talked maybe a little bit too much, but, it's me. I talk a lot. Sorry to everybody. Anyway, my daughter had her first ever dance recital last December. There was a limit of 4 guests per child. But I think a Catholic came on there and said, oh, morals are the same across Christians. And I'm like, well, what about alcohol? Like, Catholics literally believe in transubstantiation, while others think that alcohol is immoral. So, no, you don't have the same morals across all Christianity, no. And that's a big one because, like, Catholics actually believe that it is highly moral to drink the blood of their savior, which is horrific when you put it like that. But the others think it's absolutely not. So how does that work? I don't know. I don't know how they got the sort of idea that all the morals are the same. The core morals are the same. No, that's a very, very different core moral. That drinking is a sin and drinking the blood of your savior is morally correct. That is two very, very different morals, of a core moral too. So I don't know. Anyway, my daughter had her first ever dance recital last December. There was a limit of 4 guests per child. The kids usually ask us to invite one of their grandparents to events like this, but my mother was out of town. I didn't even ask her, and my in-laws were busy. Instead, my daughter invited my brother to join me, my wife, and our son. Okay. Kids usually ask us to invite one of their grandparents. Okay. My mother and Jim came to visit us during the weekend, and she saw pictures from the recital for the first time in a photo album. She asked why my brother was there and not her, and I reminded her she was traveling at the time. She said, well, Jim was in town. Ugh. Look, okay, so here's the thing, peeps. You can't force relationships with people. I wish people would stop trying. If like, it kind of sucks if you've got a boyfriend or a partner, but you know your family is lukewarm to them. Hey, their relationship with them will be their relationship with them. They're not like, don't try and say, hey, well, it's my partner, so you've got to have this kind of relationship. All it builds is resentment. If you're being told by your mum that you've got to do more with X person, then you're just going to end up resenting both of them. It's not a good time. It's not a good time. I'll be honest, we didn't even think of inviting Jim back in December, and neither did my kids. I told my mother that it was my daughter who chose to invite her uncle, and we respected that. Then Jim turned to my daughter and told her that she could invite him the next time Grandma wasn't around. My wife chimed in and said she could invite whoever she wanted. Oof, yeah. Yeah, your wife. It's good that you're acting as partners, though. That's really good. After they left, my mother called me. She said she was upset that we weren't making any efforts to welcome Jim into the family, and we were depriving our children of a wonderful grandfather. I told her that we would never force our children to like him or spend time with them if they didn't want to, and that wasn't up for discussion. We ended up having an argument over this before I hung up on her. I spoke with a few family members yesterday. I think I'm being too harsh on Jim. So am I the arsehole? I think kind of. I think that if you're sort of going to, I think talking to you, how old is your daughter? Because, I mean, you can talk to your daughter not in front of him. 9 and 5, yeah. This is a difficult one. I think that reasonably we could say that, hey, the dad isn't a good influence on him. And you should be able to say to your mother, or, you'd prefer to be able to say to your mother, hey, he's drunk a bit too often, and he says stuff that's really offensive, and I don't really want my kids exposed to that. So, but I think he is being a little bit too harsh, because even though he sort of says offensive things to adults, that doesn't mean he's going to say them to the kids. He's made several offensive jokes to my brother. Like, I get that sucks, but he may not be like that around kids. I don't know. But, maybe he is being a little too harsh and overprotective. Maybe not. Maybe not. But I think that sort of saying to your kids, hey, you don't have to invite him. Really, it's up to the kids who is there, right? Well, maybe. Like, if you don't think they're a good influence on them, yeah, I don't. To be honest with you, a children's recital, I don't know why he wants the grandparent bond so much. It's something that happens naturally. Like, them trying to force it is just stupid. I would probably say to them, hey, trying to force that is just going to get you pushed away. You can't force relationships. You just can't. I don't know. I don't think they are, but at the same time, I don't know why the gym guy wants to be like. To be honest with you, I'm really working from if someone inside invited me to a dance recital, I would go, do I have to? Like, seriously? I'm really sorry. I know that you might be proud of your kids. I'm not a kids person. I really don't want to be at a dance. A dance recital sounds horrible to me. I don't know why anyone would want to willingly go to that besides supporting your children in their endeavors. Like a 9-year-old dance recital, I would only go there if I had to, or if somebody asked me to support the kids. I'll be honest with you. The poster right for rebuking grandfather. That says girlfriend. Grandfather or father-in-law. I don't know. That sounds like a frigging hellish time to me. It really does. I think I would be bored and upset and just like, why am I here? I don't have a problem not being invited to a child's dance recital. Admittedly, that child is not mine. I don't. It's kind of weird though, and your mother may think that your like her choice in partner is being rejected by the family, and that's an issue because they should be accepted. But it does sound like they're not accepting them. They're just not accepting them. He's been dating Jim for 2 years. Yeah, I mean, it is a long-term relationship. It definitely is. So she's probably acting like, oh, you don't accept him. And it's like, yeah, they accept him. They're just not, like, he's not going to be as close instantly over a couple of years. Like, I just don't know why that would be. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe someone can fill me in. What is the time frame to being accepted into a family? I don't think there is one. Especially when you're a sort of, the original man that was there has passed away. I don't think you can sort of say, well, it's been 2 years. You should treat me like you treated your biological. I don't think that's a thing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't. Yeah, I just think that I think that. So a lot of the time when these things come up, it's not the actual incident that they're upset at, right? Like, I think that a lot of it is that the incident that comes up is more emblematic of fears that might lay behind the surface. Like, somebody that goes off at their husband in a restaurant for not using his napkin kind of thing. It isn't really about that. It's about a whole line of other behavior and their fear about it and what it's turning into, or, a whole bunch of stuff kind of thing. A lot of the arguments, I mean, I've had these arguments were really just, they were nothing, but it wasn't that they were nothing. And I'll sort of correct myself instantly. It was that was sort of what we call the straw that broke the camel's back, basically, or the tiny thing that set it all off. But really what it is just that one little thing was more emblematic of a bigger problem that wasn't being addressed. So those fights come up when you have these fears about this ongoing behavior, and that's just the trigger. It isn't really about that thing. It's about a much broader picture than just that one thing. And I think this is like that. I think maybe she, sees that the guy and his brother isn't taking to Jim very well. She wants him to be accepted into the family. And this is just sort of emblematic that he isn't being accepted into the family. And I think he is. I think that you just, someone being accepted into the family and someone being loved as a relationship are two totally different things. And you can't force the second. I think that they've been pretty accepting. They don't. So no, I'm going to say no, but with a caveat, I think. Not the arsehole. Honestly, I'd be more blunt with your mum and stop telling her it was your daughter's choice. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Tell your mum that you can't trust an alcoholic and you only put up with him because of your mum. So alcoholic, that is a designation I probably would not make spur of the moment. I would not make it very, very fast. Just because somebody drinks a lot doesn't mean they're an alcoholic. It doesn't. That is a substance abuse issue. If someone is canceling stuff because of alcohol intoxication, that could be the case, yes. So how do we define someone that drinks a lot from an alcoholic, right? So really it is to do with addiction and how much it's disrupting your life. If it is disrupting your life, then you have a problem there, a problem with substance, and that is a problem. And don't shame anybody for that. It's not helpful, but at the same time, we want people to get help that is disrupting their life. It's not that you can't trust an alcoholic. It's just that alcoholism can lead to behaviors that don't mesh very well with children. And you only put up with him because of your mum. If she's not around to wrangle him, he's not invited, period, if you don't trust him around the kids. I'm not sure he's reached alcoholic levels of drink, but it's true that I don't trust him. I'll say he's never been drunk around the kids. Okay, well, that's one thing. That's one thing, I guess. But still. Wait, did I? Oh, what did the OP say to that one? My wife had similar. I didn't actually want to look at you. Stop. My wife had similar problems with some of her family members growing up, so we try to be extra mindful of that. We teach kids to be kind regardless, but they can also choose whether they want to be close to someone or not. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And don't force relationships, people. Don't force any relationships. It does not end well. And I know that from personal experience. It does not end well. Just be in their presence and just sort of go along with it. If they don't seem to be warming up to you, that's okay. You don't need them to be warm to you. Like if you're part of the family and they're not warm to you, that's okay. Just hang out and just talk to them about what you can agree with. Don't expect them to have any kind of relationship just because they're part of your family, though. That's not cool. He's not their grandfather, though. He's your mother's boyfriend. Yeah. Family dynamics are a bit more complex than that, Talia Simi, because he's your mother's boyfriend, but she may see him as her partner, which would make them at least grandfather-in-law. Okay, so let's not, don't try and pigeonhole roles like this. If you sort of say, oh, you're not my grandfather because you're just dating or you're not my father because you're just dating my mum, it's kind of, well, what's the difference? I get that, but what's the difference as far as your mother's perspective is concerned? There's no real difference there. I get that. But at the same time, don't go, oh, well, because your mother sees me this way, you should treat me like your father. No, it doesn't work like that. You have to make your own relationships. You can't just piggyback in on somebody else's. Excuse me. She's not entitled to make their relationship fit a title she thinks it deserves. Absolutely, yeah. You need to be more firm on this, though. Personally, I would say something like Jim can't fill the role of a grandfather. That is spelt wrong. Just pointing that out, because that role died. How did you spell it right there and spell it wrong there? How did you do that? What? You spelt it wrong there, and then you spelt it right there. Okay, well, you know what? 50-50. I'll take 50% correct. I'll take it. I don't see why I should, but I will. Because that role died with his dad. Might be a bit nuclear, but that's how you feel based upon this toast, not the arsehole. Yeah. I do dislike the way that he's sort of saying, hey, it's my children that don't want this. Like, you can be honest about it and say, hey, I'm not comfortable with it. It is kind of how I feel. Even my wife's stepfather is more of an extra grandpa than my actual grandparent. Though in this case, my father-in-law is alive and active. Yeah, okay. I get you. Ornery Snowflake. Wow. Not the answer. This was your daughter's dance recital, and it was hers to decide who to invite. I'm not sure. I mean, it might not be the kids. It may be them. And if that case, just say so. You showed excellent parenting here and allowing her to make mature decisions and backing her decisions. You showed her that not only is she capable of making more decisions, that you have her back. Yeah, I don't know. Is it her deciding or is it the parents deciding? If it's the parents deciding and then blaming the kid, that's terrible. Then you are the arsehole. Absolutely, you are morally bankrupt if that's what you're doing. But, assuming that it was the kids going, oh, no, we want brother and not grandpa, then sure. This was a situation that had absolutely nothing to do with your mother or Jim. They immaturely inserted themselves into your daughter's decision in a childish attempt to manipulate her into regretting her decision and making her feel like the bad guy. You again showed stellar parenting by continuing to back up your daughter and respecting her autonomy. Yeah, I agree with that. Your mother sounds like she was a different person before she met Jim. You write almost fondly of her prior to dating Jim. For her sake, I hope she hasn't disregarded you or your brother's opinion of her in place of Jim's acceptance of her. As for you and your immediate family, you sound like you have your priorities in check. I don't think my mother is a different person at all. I think she was deeply unhappy for a long time, finally found love, and is having trouble navigating. Both me and my brother love her as much as we always have. Yeah, and you probably won't love the boyfriend of your mother in the same way you loved your father. That's entirely expected. I think as a stepfather or step grandfather, you have got to accept that you're not a substitute for the original. That's just how it is. Like, I think that if I sort of dated a woman that had already had kids, that I would understand that I'm not substituting for the father. I have to, work on my own relationships with those kids if I want them and if they want it. And if they don't want a relationship with me because they're, for whatever reason, really, that's okay. That's okay. You've got to respect people's wishes. So, yeah, I kind of think he's not doing anything wrong. Yeah. Yeah. What have you guys got to say? Do you have anything to say? Yeah, food waste is terrible, Davids. I get you, mate. I really do. Typically undeserved, but bread. Oh yeah, that's pretty. Bread makes you fat. I'm joking. I just everything in moderation, mate. Absolutely. Iconic, a former Catholic checking in. I'm sorry, did not believe in transubstantiation and many other silly things they tried to. Yeah, and a lot of Catholics don't. They kind of go through these rituals and go, oh yeah, it turns into the body of Christ and the blood of Jesus. Sure, yeah, that's just the ritual. Look, it's just what we do. We're Catholics. Like, they don't actually believe it. Most Catholics are pretty, on board with science and reason and they're rational people, so they don't think it actually happens either. It's more symbolic to them. So not a lot of Catholics really do, but you do get these ones who do believe that it actually happens, but it doesn't happen physically, it happens spiritually. It's all very weird. Oh, hello, Deviant, so good to see you. Was raised Catholic, can say there are many alkies in the religion. Most of the ones I knew were drunks. Yeah, same with Anglican and stuff. I get you. Majestic, good to see you. To support the kids is the only reason I'd go. Certainly not for the high art performance. Yeah, no, supporting kids. Yeah. And sort of making them feel like their endeavors are appreciated by everybody. Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't mean that you have to, have a great time. Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your grandfather. He told me enough. He told me he went to my dance recital. No, Luke. I went to your dance recital. I love this story that you've got going. It's the best fan fiction I've seen. That's awesome. But those kids may be on their way to nationals. Maybe. Sure, to support the kids. Absolutely. I probably wouldn't do it just because I want to, I'm not a huge fan of children. I don't like, it's not like I hate kids or anything. I find them exhausting and immature, which kids are. And I don't have, like, some people have this, I love kids. I don't. They're just kids. That may be something to do with my own childhood and being, viciously bullied by kids in my childhood. Maybe has something to do with it. And I don't have anything against kids. I don't have anything against people that have kids. I'm just not a child person. I just don't get a lot of enjoyment out of engaging with children. The weird thing is I'm usually really good with kids. Like, my nieces and nephews enjoy spending time with me. My nephew-in-law loves spending time. I'm just not that big a fan. Like, sorry, I'd rather engage with adults than children. But that's okay. It's just personal preference and nothing wrong with it. Okay, Sazo 2407. Am I the arsehole for shaming my kid's sister into cleaning her room. Okay, I'll make this the last one because that's been going longer than I thought. I have 4 kids, 3 of them danced. We have a different view on this one, Mark. Yeah, and that's okay. That's okay, Ralph. It's not a problem, and I totally understand. Like if you like to see children doing stuff and performing, fantastic. Not a problem at all. I'm not saying that anybody ought to be the same. I'm just, it's just one of the things that I just don't get a thrill out of. And I don't have any kids, so that might be why I don't have that connection. And that's okay. That is a choice I made because if I don't like spending time with kids, I don't know why I would have a child if I don't like it. Like, I think that that's a responsible thing to do. I think that that's a personal choice and nobody can tell me differently, but that is my choice. I don't know why I would do something that I don't wish to do. I think that that's unfair on any children, basically. If I have a child and I don't want the child, that's unfair on the child. I'll be perfectly blunt with you. I think that's really unfair. So I made a decision not to, and that's okay. And the person I'm with, my partner, she's totally fine with it. She doesn't want kids either. So, that's okay. It's okay. People are like, oh, but the human population, how are we going to, I think we're okay for human population. Relax. It's fine. Okay. Relax. You work in education? Yeah, I suppose so. Look, I get that there can be really good interactions. I'm just, it's just not my thing, and that's okay. That's okay. I certainly wouldn't become a teacher for small children. Look, I might be a teacher for older teenagers, like maybe college or maybe even like high school, year 11, 12, 16, 17, maybe. But I still, I don't know, but definitely not young kids. I just, no. I couldn't do that, Luke. I absolutely could not. I absolutely could not. Okay. 21 female, live with my 2 kids. Wow. Had kids early-ish. While my sister, 11 female, lives with our mum in the same town. Sure. So what is this? Shaming my kid sister into clean. Yes. So shaming is always bad. Always bad. But guilting and shaming are 2 different things. Guilting, probably not the best. Shaming, definitely. So I've talked about this very recently, the difference between guilt and shame. I was talking about it on this theist helpline. The difference between guilt and shame is that shame is the internalization of guilt. And what I mean by that internalization is it's when you're applying that to who you are. So I'll give you an example. If you say, oh, I'm guilty because I didn't clean my room, you're basically expressing regret at not doing something. You're basically saying, I regret not cleaning it, or I wish I had cleaned it. You're expressing a preference, basically, for an action. Shame is saying, I am a bad person because I don't clean my room. Okay, that's internalization of it. It's basically saying that the thing wasn't just a bad thing that you did. You are a bad person for not having done it. Okay, and I think that is never useful. It's never a useful thing, because once you've internalized that you are a horrible person, then it kind of allows the sort of implication is that you will continue to do these things. That is reinforced by saying, hey, I'm a bad person. It kind of is saying, well, there's no way to change it. And that isn't true. We can learn to change our core behaviors. If you don't clean your room, you're not a bad person. You just have a behavior or a habit that isn't good for you. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. So I want to make that really clear. If she's talking about shaming, then yeah, she's absolutely a terrible person, because your sister not cleaning your room does not make her a bad person. She just has a set of behavioral maybe behavioral problems or some time management problems, maybe, that that she needs to overcome. And that is so much more healthier than saying you're just a piece of crap because you do this thing. No. My mum really has off to health. However, my sister is very manipulative, constantly blaming mum, saying she doesn't care and ruins her life. That sounds like an ordinary teenager to me. You know, some teenagers, look, teenagers are supposed to rebel. Okay, they're supposed to be rebellious. The reason why is because when we grow up, you grow up with this idea that your parents are there to guide you, tell you what to do, make sure you're doing the right thing. You listen to them, you follow what they say. But at some point, you've got to leave the nest. You've got to go out on your own. And that's why we get rebellious, because at some point, you want to leave your parents or make something for yourself. Mostly, unless you're talking about, some man-child in a basement somewhere. So rebelliousness from teenagers is perfectly natural. It doesn't always happen, but, them being rebellious, it's kind of like getting angry at the natural processes that allow us to function. Now, there can be sort of healthy and unhealthy ways to do it. So, them just doing whatever they want and getting themselves into trouble. But at some point, and it's really hard for a parent to do. I know I've talked to parents, but I'm not a parent, but I know it's really hard to do, is say, hey, you are responsible for your own consequences. Now, someone at 11, yeah, that can be a problem, right? That can definitely be a problem. Recently, she screamed at mum for not washing her school uniform, despite having a pile of clean clothes, including her uniform, in her room for over a week. She also trashed her room, dirty underwear, clutter, food packets, moldy dishes, no sheets on bed, and no clear path through the mess. She takes food upstairs despite not being allowed and refuses to clean, even when mum helps. She even yells when mum tries to clean it for her, insisting, I like it like that. Interesting. Yeah, so there's a lot going on here. Like why she doesn't want her room clean, why she can't do that. It sounds like this is sort of emblematic of a bigger problem. I mean, I had a really messy room. I'm still a messy person, really messy room in high school. I think it was depression and I think my parents were away so much, like working and stuff, that some of the only interactions I would have with them is them, coming in and telling me off kind of thing. So it may be that she's wanting her mother to engage with her, and that's the only time that she does. I don't know. I don't know the situation, but there seems like there's a big problem here. Mum has tried everything, cleaning with her, guiding her, letting the mess build up, even cleaning it herself. Nothing works. When I casually joked, let me stay here for a day and bully her into clean. No, that's not going to work. Wow. Okay. Bully her into cleaning. I'm not sure the ends justifies the means here. Mum shocked me by seriously agreeing, which shows how desperate she was. So we swapped houses for a day. With mum's full permission, I went full mean girl. I took my sister's TV, phone, tablet, and laptop and told her, if you're going to live like a wild dog, you might as well put you in a cage. Mum gives you everything, and this is how you repay her. Your 4-year-old nephew keeps his room cleaner than this. Maybe we should send a picture to your school friends. Wow, that is awful. She huffed, puffed, stomped, cried, but ultimately cleaned her room, proving she could do it. When mum came back, she was nearly in tears with relief and hasn't stopped thanking me. My sister now hates me, makes mum's life easier. I can live with that. Okay, well, yeah. Will that have solved the problem? Most of our family understood why I did it, but my grandmother and aunt are mad, saying I should be the cool older sister she looks up to, not the one who breaks her down. But as a parent for myself, I feel for mum more than I do for my sister. Yeah, but if your mum's not doing it, is it going to stick? Like, if the mum's not the one doing it, she's just going to go back to her own behaviors. And whatever it is, problems that she's having that is showing itself in this behavior, you haven't addressed them. Right? This is the problem with this kind of tactic. If you just bully somebody into doing behavior, that you haven't actually solved the problem, right? My problem when I was younger and a kid, and I was bullied and depressed and upset, and my parents weren't around. Like, if somebody bullied me into cleaning my room, did that solve the problems that I was going through? No. The problem wasn't that my room was being not cleaned. My problem was that there were things going on that were making me so depressed and anxiety ridden, and all of this stuff happening, that I could not function to carry out basic chores. And it's a problem. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's a problem, but you haven't addressed whatever it is that's happening here. I really think that if this is happening, that you should find somebody. I know it's expensive, but you should find a psychologist or psychiatrist and try to get to the bottom of why they don't feel invested in their room or their life. I feel like a lot of the time people will just go, oh, well, they're just being a rebellious teenager, and they're not understanding how dangerous it is to dismiss really bad behavior like this with, oh, well, they're just a rebellious teenager. It can be, but at the same time, when you're really talking about this level, we're talking about maybe severe depression, or maybe severe anxiety, or maybe that they don't feel connected to their home at all. And that's a problem. That's a huge problem, like massive problem, because just bullying her is not going to solve the problem, and it may make it worse. So I think, yeah, you're a fucking asshole. Like, you have not actually tried to find out what the problem is. You've just bullied somebody into doing what you want. I don't, yeah. What if she's being bullied at school? How does that help? How does that help? What if this behavior is her being bullied at school and she's depressed? How the frig does that help? Did I not close the poll for the last one? Am I bad at this? I did not close the poll. Oh, we got a 50-50. Poster is good for the last one. Yeah, I get that. I'll do a poll for this one, but I just... so when people are displaying behaviors that are maybe antisocial or anti-familial, it's a good idea to maybe ask if anything is wrong, rather than just go, well, screw them. Like, sometimes it is a question of, what they're going through. And I don't, just going, well, I'm going to bully her because what my mother's doing hasn't worked. Look, I think that part of me, and this isn't all of me, part of me sort of says, well, if you have a kid that grows up and they're learning that, the way the world works and the way everything works, I mean, it's kind of hard not to be depressed, to be honest with you. It's a bad word out there. And, especially sort of this new generation, the Zoomers coming up, who are finding out, they're never going to own their own house. It's just horrible. Like, I don't blame them for not being invested in the world. It's just, it's hard to be invested in a world that isn't going to give you anything back. And, it's just, it seems like you're going to live your life just, simply paying towards somebody else's property. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. Is the poster bad for bullying sister into cleaning room? Poll. Okay. Yeah, no, I really think this is awful. Not the arsehole, but the mum take her things so she can behave without caving to her sister's tantrums, because it's going to be an ongoing problem unless the mum can set and define those rules. Yeah, I still don't think that's... I mean, taking away her things, yeah, that's fair enough. That is a disciplinary thing, yes. If you... but it's got to be... Like, instead of just going, well, this is punitive, it's got to be seen as consequences. It's got to be seen as, well, if you can't take care of your things and put them away and treat them with respect, then you won't have them anymore, because we can't allow you to do that. The idea of consequences versus punishment is definitely a thing. And you've got to break those tantrums by basically not reacting to them. Just going, yeah, you can cry and you can, squeal and you can do all these things, and that won't solve the issue. You're not going to get your things back. What's going to get them back is you doing what you need to do. But I think at the same time, they're just ignoring that. To me, this child seems like they may be depressed or having some kind of issue. And you might say, hey, can you be depressed at 11? Absolutely. Absolutely. I know I was. I absolutely was. So yes, absolutely you can. Absolutely you can. Because I hate to say it, mum caves are enabling because she teaches the sister if she throws a fit long enough, she'll get away with no consequences. 100% true. So when you do, like, so when a child is given these repercussions and these consequences, if you cave on them, they're going to learn that's going to reinforce the behavior. And you don't need to regularly becoming your sister's bully because mum can't enforce the consequences. Tread cautiously. My mum definitely raised me harsher than she does my sister. Sometimes it's best just to pick your battles, is the mentality she has with my sister. But when I was younger, if anything is on the floor in X amount of time, it's all going in the trash. So it's definitely rubbed off on me. I was once messy, but when I got embarrassed by people seeing it, I changed my way of living. So my thoughts were that it could work on her. This is the first time mum has let me step in, but I wouldn't want to make a habit of it again, as she is her mum and it is not my place. I do think the mum could be a bit more solid with her consequences though. So yeah, definitely. So I kind of think you are a bit of an arsehole for stepping in, because, you're going to have to keep doing it, or else what does it change? Hell no, not the arsehole. It's not healthy or okay for your sister, and it was clearly impacting her mum in a negative way. Thank you. I recognize that I was once a difficult child, so I can come across as a hypocrite, but being appreciative of the things my mum has done for me and being a parent myself now, it genuinely hurts seeing my mum so defeated. Yeah, I understand your motivations. I'm more interested in why your sister is doing this. Maybe it is that she hasn't been disciplined enough, but that's where your mother needs to step in, not you. Not the arsehole, but I doubt you'll fix the problem. It will be filthy again in a few days. Mum needs a more permanent solution. Yeah, that, absolutely. You need to figure out why she wants to live in a dirty space. Is her mental health okay? Thank you. We have considered she has depression. I presented the same way without the tantrums when I had depression. However, she is, a very sensitive girl that takes even the slightest judgment to send her into a crying episode, so we just don't know. Well, I have brought up therapy with my mum for her, but I don't want to push as it's not my place. Yeah, but okay. So you've basically said here that you think she might be depressed and have brought up therapy, but your solution, instead of really pushing for the therapy because it's not your place, but it's your place to go in and bully this girl that may be depressed to do the things that you want her to do. Like, I don't understand that. It's not your place to really press to say, hey, she's obviously not doing well. I've had depression. I know what this feels like. You said you had depression and you presented the same way. You reckon it's not your place to say that, but it is your place to take over that mother role and bully her. You're a piece of shit. You're terrible. I dislike you immensely. Sam, I'm so defeated, all is hurt, and it was a joke. It was a joke that you carried out. It's not a joke. Like, wow, okay. And it was a joke. I was not intending to actually do what I did, but when my mother agreed to it, I thought, right, let's get into character then. She can't battle with a more seasoned being. Wow, okay, so it was a joke. It was a joke until I went and actually did it because what the hell? Not the asshole. You can be the cool sister to look up to when your sister is the cool little sister that you want to influence. The way she's acting should turn into a total brat. I'm hoping what she redirects her and she can thank you for staying in the right direction, but maybe a while. This isn't about your mum's hurt feelings. Kid needs help. Can everyone stop coddling your mum and actually get some kids and yeah. I would say it's more your place to encourage or insist on therapy than it is to continue to bully good behavior. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. Okay. Okay. No, it sounds like typical tween behavior. Also, I know I'll get downvoted again for this, but have her checked for ADHD. Absolutely. Yeah. ADHD is a big one. The doom piles, knowing where everything is despite the room being a disaster. The reluctance to change is literally textbook tween girl ADHD. Sure. Yeah. It's incredible. Like my room when I was younger was so messy, and I'd know exactly where everything is. It is emblematic ADHD behavior. When everybody else sees a chaotic mess and you know exactly how it works and how everything is happening. Like it is that chaos that you completely understand. And it's weird. It's weird. I still have issues, but I'm a lot like we can manage these things. But bullying somebody with ADHD is never going to work in the long term. It never will. And this person's actually really good because they're noticing that she's saying she prefers it messy. That's an ADHD thing. Yeah. But truly, every other neurodivergent female reading this are screaming inside, you are not the asshole at all. I would disagree, but get her evaluated so you can help manage it, whatever it is, behavior or divergence. Yes. Yes. Look, this is the thing. If it is that bad and if she was obviously hurt, you would take her to a doctor. But when she's obviously mental hurt, when it's mental in nature, you won't take her to a doctor. You're just like, let's bully them into being well. What is wrong with that statement? Let's bully them into being well. It's amazing just how far we've come. Just how far we've come in understanding what makes a human being well, like mentally as well as physically, especially mentally. We have people in our society, like I was saying, the hoarders, for instance, like we have people with hoarding issues and they're terribly ashamed of it. And helping them is not showing their hoarding behavior to the rest of the world and shaming them from it. What helps them is understanding and these techniques to be able to manage the behavior. It's so bad that people think, oh, well, it worked for me back in the in the 60s. I'll just do the same to them. Yeah, because you're a good functional person, woman who is bullying an 11-year-old. Do you think that cycle will continue? Yeah, probably. Yeah. There's better ways to do this, and we're aware of them. Getting assistance, and here's the thing, and it's always been interesting to me that there's a certain implication when you say, hey, I didn't grow up functional, I had these functionality problems, or I had these mental health issues, that your parents think it's their fault. They immediately take responsibility that somehow they could have prevented you being neurodivergent or being mentally unwell or any of this kind of stuff. Even if your parents didn't do the best job, they did the best job they could, right? Parents don't have to be perfect. They just have to be good enough. And so we talk in like when I've done therapy and talk about dialectics. Now, logically, you can't say something's good and bad at the same time, and it's not. But dialectics is sort of saying, hey, things can be good and bad at the same time. Parents can have, they can be amazing and have done terrible things. And just because they've made mistakes that have been terrible mistakes doesn't make them bad person, right? That doesn't make them a bad person. Even if your parents are the worst ever, the fact that you're alive and here and you know, talking right now and, you know, relatively okay means that they could have done worse. So you can love your parents and not like things that they've done. Parents generally take this as, if I did something wrong, then I'm a bad parent. And honestly, like, here's the thing, I got that from my mother, right? If I said, hey, I don't like the way you did this, she's like, well, I'm a bad parent then. No, that's not the case. And as a psychologist, she should know better than to make that kind of statement, but she did all the time. It was this sort of black and white, well, if I've done something wrong, I must be a bad parent. No, but parents always take it that way, don't they? We can say, hey, the parents didn't do this well, and I still love them. You know, the parents did this wrong, and I'm still here because of them. Those two things can be true. And this is what we talk about with dialectics. We can appreciate the parents, what our parents did for us, and dislike where they failed. And that's okay. The problem is having parents accept that they're going to make mistakes. They will make mistakes, that their children won't like those mistakes. And it makes them love you no less for it. That you don't have to be perfect. You will make mistakes. It's a huge responsibility. But denying you've made mistakes isn't healthy either. Just saying, hey, no, I was, you know, and saying to your kids, hey, if you think I made mistakes, then I'm a bad parent, and, you know, all this stuff. It's that sort of guilting people. No, that's not the case. If you're doing that, please stop. Please stop. You can just say, hey, I did the best I could, and I'm sorry that happened. But, you know, it doesn't mean that everything else you did was wrong or anything else they did was wrong. It just means that there's these mistakes there that could have been done better. And that's okay. Because at the end of the day, your parents got you to adulthood. Base level, that's all that's required. That's it. You're there as an adult. That's essentially, if that's the best they could do, then that's the best they could do. And that sucks. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying, hey, you shouldn't hold that against them or you have to feel any way about it. But the fact that you're here and alive means that they could have done a hell of a lot worse. Okay? Hell of a lot worse. And it sucks. That sucks. But, you know, and, you know, I have issues with what my parents did. I still love them. You know, they're passed away now, but I love them, and I respect that they got me here for what it's worth. You know, I don't think my mother was a bad mother. I think there's things that she did that were sort of, you know, borderline neglectful, but I don't think she was a bad mother. I think she was a good mother because, hey, I am who I am. And, you know, a lot of that's due to me, but a lot of it is due to my parents. I think both of my parents were borderline neglectful, but never mind. I also love it, just hate the dishes. I am right there with you, Davids. Absolutely loathe it. I would happily cook every single night. Like, seriously. Freezer helps. Refrigerate your bread. It lasts longer. Yeah, but it doesn't taste as good. I don't eat a lot of bread nowadays. A little while back, I sort of cut out most carbs. So I don't have pasta anymore. I don't have bread anymore. And it really has been good for my health. It's not like I'm like, oh, you know, I'm no carbs ever kind of thing. It's not. I don't think that's how to like live your life. I still have, you know, wraps and, you know, I'll go to Subway occasionally and have a roll. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like I cut them out completely, but I just, you know, cut back on them, and I actually felt a lot better, and sort of lost some weight, because carbs, when you're not exercising enough, gives you hella weight. Okay. Luke says, I prefer teaching older kids for sure. Yep. Kids can benefit. Oh, that was the last one. I think I probably missed some comments. I'm sorry. Benefit relationships that might be. Yeah, I agree, Sterling. Yeah. But if you do have a say an uncle that seems to have a problem with alcohol, you probably don't want them around your kids. Like it depends who they are. Um, I, I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree, but there are some sort of other circumstances that Oh, thank you, Ralph. I appreciate it, mate. Yeah, I get you. That was my don't want kids. And my brother had 3. That's enough to keep the population going. That's it basically out of 4 people, the population is down 1, which is fine. I that's fine. Maybe that step grandpa will be someone they can trust with their problems. Well, yeah, that's true. That's true, but you can't force that on them. You've got to let that form naturally. And so trying to force it on them, nope. Nope. Are you out there in the netosphere tonight? Oh, hi, Tilting. Good to see you, mate. Kids have a few things they can control on their own terms, says Ralph. Messy rooms, food, behavior, etc. is all a healthy part of kids working out where they fit in. Yeah, I agree, Ralph. Yes, I agree. But, there's got to be consequences, because there will be consequences for not being able to do certain things, right? There's always consequences to these things. So sort of getting them to understand consequence is a good thing, that, hey, you have control over your life, but there are consequences for the decisions you make, and you've got to live with those consequences. You've been munching on Pringles. Nice. Sterling Nash says, this mother is totally remiss in her parental responsibilities by delegating the parental role to the sister. You can make suggestions, but it's the mother's role to raise your sister. I kind of agree, yes. I think she is sort of neglecting her role as the mother. And I think that if she gives in, then, I have to agree. Luke says she needs to be the role model in that relationship. She's being a bit petty and taking it. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. She needs to be the role model and adult in these situations. She is just stooping to an adolescent level, which isn't healthy for anyone. Well, yes and no. I don't think sort of, this kind of, so here's the thing. And it's kind of what you're teaching your kids by doing certain things. So if you're teaching them, if someone isn't living up to their obligations or their societal or familial obligations, you're teaching them that what you're supposed to do is bully them, that you're supposed to insult them, threaten them, do all of this kind of stuff. And I don't think that's a healthy lesson to learn, right? I think that that's a really unhealthy lesson to learn. It's pretty toxic to go, well, if somebody isn't cleaning their room or whatever, because if the girl learns that, how will she treat her kids in the future? She'll do exactly the same thing. Like she'll, tell them that, hey, she's going to show it to their friends if they don't do it, kind of thing. This is sort of that cyclic behavior that we're talking about, the one that passed down onto kids, that pass it to their kids, to their kids, to their kids, and usually it exacerbates as it goes down. So I don't think and so. Yeah, I really think, like, ruining her life, doesn't care. Why not? Why did she say that? You thought she might be depressed, so you bullied her. Yeah, I agree, Sterling. Absolutely. When she said, "Oh yeah, she's probably depressed because my depression had presented the same," I'm like, what the hell are you doing? That makes complete sense to a drill sergeant. Okay, so your kids are not in the military. All right, like seriously. So the goal of the military is to basically it's to break people down into where you can build them back up into something else that you want. Okay, that's essentially what the military does, because lives depend on it. You've got to have them as a responsible, reliable person, because lives depend on it. It's not, treating your kids like they are soldiers is not a good idea, because the military has to beat people into what it needs out of them. I think that if people sign up for that, okay. If they want to do that, okay, it's their choice. I don't necessarily think it's good for all members of society to have that mentality. There's a reason why our military is split off and categorically different than mainstream society. It's because that kind of obey orders no matter what, and sort of have these it isn't a healthy society. But some people, they find it very to their liking, and I get that they're allowed to do that. But doing that to a child is not good. It's not good. It's not good. But the military, it's got a purpose. There is a purpose to it, and that is like the whole thing about drill sergeants tearing people down. I think that sort of media and movies and things like that, they focus a lot on that without the other end of it, which is the drill sergeant, after basically deconstructing the recruits, they basically will break them down to a place where they then are built up, and they're given challenges to make them believe in each other and believe in the system, and sort of trust and have confidence in the training that they're getting. It's a very specific reason, and they focus a lot more on the breaking down rather than the building up on the other side. And drill sergeants are very good at it. They're very good at building people up, and a lot of that is forgotten. There's reasons for it. It's effective, but I don't, doing it to literal children is horrible. It's basically a form of indoctrination. Religions do the same. They break people down and then build them up into what they need them to be. They do exactly the same thing. Just the techniques are slightly different. The Sterling says the mother is terrible for pitting her kids against each other. Do your own job, mum. Yeah, I really, really agree. I really agree. Deviant says, wow, I was thinking I might have been too harsh with the vote poster as evil because the mum has some responsibility too. But nope, no regrets. Yeah. If she didn't know she had some mental health issues, I would be so like, yeah, she's not the asshole. But the fact that she's very, very aware that she probably does and still did it, yeah, complete monster. I'm sorry, but if you know somebody has mental health issues, bullying them into being socio-normative is a terrible idea. A terrible idea. Hey, Big Bad Mama. I feel like I haven't seen you for a while, Mama, and I miss you. The mother bears a lot of responsibility by ignoring this for so long. One daughter is a bully and the other needs medical help. Yes. Yep, I agree. Absolutely agree. Andrew says, lol, my parents are the opposite. They take no responsibility. Yeah, which isn't great either. No, I get where you're coming from, Andrew. I do. And you can resent that and feel angry about that and still love your parents, or your parents' relationship's entirely up to you, and that's okay. You can sort of say, hey, I don't want anything to do with them because they make me feel like this. You can feel any way you want about that. Sure. I get you. Oh, you mean responsibility for what happens? Yeah, and that's hard. That's hard. Them also saying, hey, it's got nothing to do with us. It was all your own when their parenting was terrible. Yeah, that's rough, mate. That is. Well, it may be like, because there's two ways to, like, when people are accused of something, there's a couple of ways to respond to it. Like I've said, the guilting way, they say, oh, well, then I'm a bad parent. The other way is saying, hey, no, I did nothing wrong. When every parent does stuff that's wrong, that's the other flip of the coin. If they're saying, hey, no, I was the perfect parent, they're lying. Like that is not true. There's no perfect parent. Not at all. It isn't a thing, right? There's mistakes that you would have made that you've corrected for. There's things that are going to affect your kids, but on the most part, a perfect parent is one that is just good enough and does everything mostly right. That's as close to the perfection as we can acknowledge. So yeah, if somebody is saying, hey, I did everything right as a parent, they probably did wrong, and just it hurts too much to admit it. But I want parents to understand that that's part of parenting, is getting stuff wrong. That's part of it, like it. you wouldn't expect someone to be no one's the perfect child, no one's the perfect parent. Like, it's like saying, hey, I went to work and I've worked for 20 years and I never did anything wrong. Are you serious? That's delusional. Of course you screwed up at work. I mean, come on. Nobody goes to work and never does anything wrong. Like, come on now. Really? Not even a little? Ridiculous. I'm sorry. It's unrealistic. To work somewhere for that amount of time and not make a mistake is unrealistic. It just is. Sorry. Yikes, I really feel for that. Hard to play in chat, but I've insomnia and terrible nightmares. Yeah, I've had a bit of insomnia lately. That's why I did the Theist helpline, which I've got to upload. I will try as hard as I can to upload it today. I will try my best. I will absolutely try my best. Sure, it's interesting. The brain does. Yeah. I get kept awake by thoughts, Stevie, and I'm right there with you. I have big thoughts sometimes, and I think about things a lot, and I don't. People might go, "Oh, yeah, you're just boasting." No, it's not great. It's not great. It really isn't. Did you see Lupin said we're responsible for Wild Heart's problems? Why? Why? Look, if you're talking about Wild Heart's problems with alcohol, then Lupin's got as far as I can see, has got his own issues in that category. I don't know how we're responsible for it though. I know that when and don't get me wrong, Wild Heart's a great guy. I like Wild Heart. It's just hard to see, and much love out to Wild Heart there. It's really hard to see him hurt himself, because it's just difficult to see, because I do like him and I don't want to see harm befall him. So it's difficult to watch. And I know that his family have been trying to help him. And last time I saw him, he looked so healthy and awesome. And I said so. He looked really good, and he's really been trying. And I think that's good. But a lot of the atheist channels out there wouldn't allow him on the panel because they felt like it was feeding into what was happening. And I wish all the best for Wild Heart. I'm happy to talk to him. I'm happy to encourage him in getting past his problems. I think that Lupin pointing to someone's problems is kind of really weird, because I think Lupin has his own issues, to be honest with you. I don't think Lupin's a particularly well person. I think that he's got a lot of issues, especially the way he lashes out at people, and he seems to be under the influence of alcohol when doing so. He changes a lot after he's sort of had a few, and I don't think it's good for him or anybody around him. And that's Lupin. Wild Heart's a bit different, but you can see him hurting himself, and it's hard to watch. It is hard to watch. So yeah, I really want to give all my love to Wild Heart and tell Lupin to stuff off, because Lupin is I don't know. I don't know. But let's see how the poll did. Thank you so much for voting. If you did vote, if not, I rescind my thank you. I rescind it completely. I will not give you a thank you for not participating. No, thank you for not participating as well. What the hell? I'm feeling magnanimous. Poster is evil. Yeah, I agree. Don't, like, bullying people into doing what you want is not, it's never a good idea. It just breeds resentment, and there's so much other better ways to go about it. There's so, like, especially if it's your partner or someone that you really care about, there's so much better ways to go about it than bullying them. Talking about consequences, talking about how it makes you feel. There's way better ways to go about it. And this child saying, hey, she doesn't care and ruins her life at 11. There's something else going on there that we've got to talk to her about. And I really feel for the child. I really do. It sucks. You shouldn't have your sister bully you when you're having problems and trying to get through school and trying to deal with your mum and stuff. That is not helpful at all. I think there's way better ways to go about doing that. But I want to thank everybody for coming. It was an interesting one. I only got one troll this time. I think I'm losing my touch. I'm joking. Plenty of people would back troll me. I'm very trollable. I got to admit, I do have to admit, because I generally believe people when they tell me what they tell me. Generally, I think it's an autism thing. I just sort of, I don't really know why I don't understand why people would go into a room and pretend to be somebody else in order to get them upset or get some kind of emotional reaction. I don't get it. I really don't. It goes over my head. Oh, hello, Robin. Coming in at the last second, Robin. Thank you. But thanks for being here. I really appreciate you. I hope you are well. I know you're a bit under the weather lately, so all my best. I hope Joe's well. It's good to see you guys. It's good to see all of you. Deviant, Big Bad Mama, Sterling, Majestic Beck, Iconocray, David's, Luke. Great to see all of you. I really enjoy doing these. Just because. Who was that? Seawind. Hey, maybe Seawind was who was that guy that I had to ban for being an absolute D-bag? Was it oh god, it was like Sea Science something? Sea Science? It was this Sea Science guy who was a creationist, and he sort of was a nasty piece of work. He was insulting my dead mother and stuff. Just a douchebag, really. So I had to ban him because, yeah, what a douchebag. Him and Redefine Living are just some of the most terrible humans I've ever seen in my entire life, which is, impressive considering everybody that I've interacted with. Oh, Tildy, no problem, man. All good. I'm just happy to be able to do these and sit down and have a chat with you guys and do some consensual and solicited judging of random strangers on the internet. Next time it'll be Sea Bastard. I wouldn't be surprised, mate. I wouldn't be surprised. Anyway, be kind to yourself. You'll make mistakes. It's okay. We don't have to deny all the mistakes we made in order to be confident that we won't make them in the future. The only way we learn, and that includes being a parent, is to screw up and go, hey, that was terrible. But at the same time, we avoid shaming ourselves, saying, hey, I'm a bad person for having done that. No, you're not. You're just a person who did something bad. It's okay. We can make amends. We can patch things up. We can change what we're doing because it is bad for us. That's okay. We don't have to deny, I've never done anything wrong to anybody. Of course you have. Everybody has. It's part of being human. We fuck up. We go, gee, I fucked up. And then basically go, how do I not fuck up in the future? That to me is basically morality. What ought I do not to fuck up? Right? Because that doesn't feel good. And I get that. And that's okay. But it doesn't make you a bad person. So don't internalize your mistakes. At the same time, don't deny they exist either. We make them. We do them. We try to get better. We move on. It's a human condition. It happens. I get it. But be kind to others because others are doing the same thing. They'll screw up. If they want to deny that they've screwed up, yeah, fair. You can say, hey, if you're not even going to acknowledge your mistakes, there's no way you're going to correct them, right? If you refuse, I've never made a mistake in my life, you're not going to correct those mistakes. So I understand, but do be kind with people that have and said, hey, I made a mistake. Okay, be kind to them. But love you all. Take care. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.